This is a bike pavilion. It can be used for storing bikes, or it can be used as a shelter conveniently placed next to a fire pit to host parties. In order to understand how we got here, however, we need to rewind back to 2020. In the early months of 2020, right before the pandemic locked everything down, Lancaster Evangelical Free Church had just finished their multi-million-dollar church addition. The church had been rather cramped, so over a couple of years they had carried out their building plan to expand their facilities. They spared no expense, building a large auditorium, new classrooms and offices, a lounge for high schoolers, and even a cafe. Only one critical thing was missing: a bike pavilion. Rewind a few months to October of 2019. My dad had gone on a weekend's men retreat with the church, and while there, the executive pastor mentioned to him that the church had a great Eagle Scout project in the form of a bike pavilion. Needless to say, I had a meeting with the pastor a couple of weeks later, and decided that I was going to do the project. The church was going to fund the project, so all I had to do was design and build it. Easy, right? I thought so, but it turns out that it was much more involved than I ever could have imagined. I started off by downloading SketchUp and working on a design. That took me a couple of months, and in the meantime I met with an architect who worked on our church to learn more about the entire process. He gave me some cool ideas for the pavilion, but I ended up not using them for simplicity's sake. I wanted the scouts to be able to do the main part of building by themselves. After the initial design was done, I met up again with the executive pastor to show him them and get feedback. Fast forward a couple weeks, and I had finished the design and sent them to an architect to mark up. We got back to the final designs and I was ready to start getting the materials. I sourced them through the church builder, using the same wood and hardware that the church had used in their building project for aesthetic reasons. Now, up until this point, I hadn't put any thought into how the pavilion was actually going to be built. Scouts BSA has some pretty strict rules regarding the use of power tools and high ladders, and I wanted the scouts to be able to do the majority of the work. We had two major advantages though. The concrete pad was pre-poured with the footers installed, and we didn't have to do the shingles on the roof. That still left the problem of power tools and ladders though. Fortunately, I found solutions for both. The building team for the church pre-cut and pre-drilled all of the wood so that we didn't have to use saws or drills. They also set in the uprights so that we didn't have to worry about getting them square with a bunch of teenagers. I also managed to get one of my friends and his dad, who works in carpentry, to come and help with the roof. That way, the scouts didn't have to worry about breaking rules by climbing up on the roof. I sent out a sign up and a couple weeks later had the building day. Here's the result. It went well. Like, honestly, it went much better than I expected, and I learned so much, mostly about effective communication and following up. It's crazy how much the speed of a project can be affected by how organized the team is. Between communication, scheduling, and carrying out tasks, it's a lot to do at once. But I definitely learned a whole lot. And now, LEFC has an awesome bike pavilion to use for storing bikes and the occasional host to a party.